Ladies and gentlemen, one game left to go in the regular season. This game was supposed to be all the way back in September, thanks to Hurricane Irma. We are playing it in December. It's Florida State versus ULM. Welcome to your Nole Insiders game preview, delivered by UPS. I'm Lane Hurt, along with Tim Linnefelt. Tim, the team was sitting at 3-6, 3 games to go. They knew they needed all 3 of those for bowl eligibility. 2 down, 2 victories, 1 more to keep 40-35 alive.
Yeah, I think for Florida State, you had clear goals entering into the home stretch of the season. You got over what I think most would have looked at on the schedule as the biggest hurdle by going down to Gainesville and beating the Florida Gators. Now the number one thing is nobody in that locker room, nobody on that roster wants to get those first 2 only to come home against ULM and let that standard slip. So it's the key for this week for Florida State, and what they've talked about throughout the week is moving on from that win, enjoying it for what it was. It's no win over Florida is one that you easily discard, especially not one down there. So enjoy it, celebrate it, but be able to be mature enough to move on, focus on the opponent that's coming into Doak Campbell Stadium, handle your business, and get to that bowl game and potentially that winning record. Because, as you mentioned, the historical significance of those things, it means more at Florida State than it does, maybe at other places because of all the teams and players that have come before. It does mean something to these players, and so you got one more test that you have to pass before you get to that point, and here we are.
That opponent that stands in the way of bowl eligibility is the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. They are 4-7 on the year, 4-4 in the Sun Belt Conference, 17th in the country in total offense, 472 yards per game, 128th in total defense. That's second to last behind East Carolina, 534.6 yards per game. The good news for them, they've scored more than 50 points 4 times. The bad news, they've given up more than 40 points 6 times. Tim, I imagine the thing that gets the Seminoles' attention is those 50-point games, including one last week against Arkansas State. The Seminoles aren't focused on, especially on defense. ULM can get things going.
Yeah, you can, I think, expect a track meet. Everybody eat your Wheaties in the morning, do your extra aerobics and your cardio, because I think there's going to be a lot of running. Probably a lot of points scored in this game.
Are we running?
Well, we could, man. You never know. If football gets weird in December, when it's been a topsy-turvy season. Who knows what could happen? Maybe they'll ask us to suit up. I think I have some eligibility left.
Ooh.
But no, they score points. They give up points. I think that it's pretty clear what their strategy is. We're just going to try to outscore you and not worry too much about the defensive side of things. And it's worked out 4 times this year, and it hasn't worked out so well 7 times. So still a work in progress for ULM. But the big thing is, you know what they're going to do. It seems like a broken record with some of Florida State's opponents. They're going to line up. They're going to spread you out. They're going to try to put you in bad leverage situations, and they're going to go fast. You don't score as many points as they do and also give up as many points as they do without moving really quickly and creating as many possessions as possible, both for your offense and subsequently the opposing offense. So there's going to be points there to be had. It's just a matter of Florida State making enough stops to keep their points to a minimum, obviously, and then also capitalizing on a defense that statistically speaking, really struggles. And you want to look at the games against FBS competition, Power 5 competition. I guess they're all against FBS competition in the Sun, but I meant Power 5 competition. A few weeks ago, when they were playing at Auburn, that game was 14-7 Auburn midway through the
second quarter.
Yeah, mid to second quarter. They finally broke free and ended up being a 42-14 game. But for a while there, you're all kind of looking at the TV. I think Florida State was playing Delaware State at the time, and we're all looking up like, hey, what's the score of that game? Because you notice it because you know that you're going to be playing ULM in a couple weeks. So it definitely catches your attention. They certainly have the ability, especially if you come out slow, aren't sharp early on. They can hang with you and make things a little bit uncomfortable there. And for Florida State, given everything that's on the line this week, you want to avoid that.
I think now we get to a key matchup. I think you have to look at Florida State's defense. They forced 8 turnovers. They like to call them takeaways rather than turnovers. In the last 3 games, 3 touchdowns, almost 4 touchdowns. You can say 4 if you count the special teams touchdown in there. They can continue that streak and how they've been able to turn teams over. That could make life a lot easier.
Well, look, like you said, Florida State had 2 defensive touchdowns against Florida. Very nearly had 3. You might as well have had 3, given that they scored on a few plays later.
Thanks, Auden.
You can't beat anybody giving up 3 defensive touchdowns. There's no team in college football is going to give up 3 defensive touchdowns and feel good about winning that game. So the flip side of that is if you said are turning teams over that often, capitalizing. Florida State scored 28 points off turnovers against Florida last week. That makes you a really difficult team to beat. I guarantee you, that Louisiana Monroe is not going to be able to beat Florida State if they turn the ball over at the rate that Florida did, and certainly not if Florida State is as opportunistic as they have been. So yeah, no reason for that trend not to continue. I think you've seen the defense playing with a lot of confidence. Really, you could probably even say since that Clemson game, I thought maybe the final score didn't show up, but the defense played pretty well in that game against a really tough offense. Carried over to Delaware State and then to Florida. Keep that momentum going. I think you have the ability, particularly up front, to cause some errant throws by their quarterback, and then let your defensive backs, Levante Taylor, Tavares McFadden, Derwin James, let those guys go make plays. We've seen what they can do, and that's, a very easy recipe for success for Florida State.
There you have it, Seminole fans. It's the Noles and the Warhawks, noon on Saturday. Make sure you get out inside Doak Campbell Stadium, support your Noles. That game is on ACC Network Extra as well. You can watch that game online. And of course, read Tim's 1st and 10. We'll also check on his eligibility status for Saturday as well.
I call compliance.
That'll wrap things up. Make sure you stick with the Nole Insiders all season long. For Tim, I'm Lane.